And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Sports Trader Show. My name is John Todor, and of course, I am the Sports Trader. Today, we have a great show planned for you. It's a great podcast. For those of you listening to us on your podcast networks, welcome. For those of you watching at home on YouTube, welcome. Again, we got a big show planned for you. Today, we're going to be talking about the return of baseball, which looks like it is imminent, right around the corner. We're going to be talking about NFL futures, which are out. Some surprising, some mind-blowing stuff in there. I can't believe some of the teams they said we're only going to win 8 games. I can't believe which teams they thought would win 12 games. And I can't believe they said about the Bengals. I mean, it's really just some crazy stuff came out. I don't know who made these futures, but I think there's some money to be made inside these futures, inside the analysis of these futures is coming up. And then lastly, what we're going to do is we're going to reach inside our mailbag, and I'll be taking some of your questions. And hopefully I can teach you guys some of the things that I've learned about sports trading, and we'll do some chit-chat about some regular things that are going on inside the world of sports, albeit right now, not a lot of stuff's going on. But rumor and speculation, data and analytics, that's what we do best here at the Sports Trader Show. First of all, let's talk about baseball. And as a lot of you know, they are working on some cool stuff for baseball right now. They're working on put together what some people are calling a biodome. It wouldn't quite be like that, but they're going to try to have controlled situations working in Arizona where they would take each team and they would put them inside of a hotel, maybe 2 or 3 teams inside one hotel, and they would have maybe 10 hotels throughout an area in Arizona, and where they do spring training, and all these teams would play inside of Arizona, and they would do so to share facilities. They would be able to bring in all their camera people. They'd be able to bring in all their umpires, all the major league officials that need to be around, the announce crews, things like that. And they would be able to film every game live so that they could be on the MLB network so they can still get that money. They, of course, would be able to do live games for networks and things like that I'm sure some of these networks would probably be clamoring to actually get some of these teams on so they can actually watch the games and actually make some ad revenue from sports, because I know that's something that's, the culture in general is missing it. Like, people are missing that first taste of normality and regular life, even though baseball probably isn't one of those things that like people rush out to actually watch in whole. I bet if you have some really popular teams on, you put Yankees against the Red Sox on a Monday night game, and I think you're going to need a lot of people that want to stay and watch that game. Also, I think what they're going to be doing is they're probably going to take a lot of things. Somebody has to go first. So it's almost like this entire quarantine thing. The Trump comes out, the federal government comes out, and they say, well, we're not going to tell you that you can open. We're going to give you some guidelines, and then we're going to let each state open on their own. And each state is actually going to be a test. So we'll see how Iowa does it, and then Iowa will be similar to South Dakota and North Dakota, and we can use the same blueprint, or we can change the blueprint because Iowa didn't work out that well. Eventually, Chicago will open, and Chicago will be the blueprint for New York, or vice versa, or in L.A., and that's just how they'll work it around. So what I think they're going to be doing, and this is my speculation, of course, but I think this makes sense, is the Chinese Baseball League recently started. So they started in Taiwan, and they're actually playing games in Taiwan, and they're following this model, and it's kind of a strange one, but it's working for them, I believe. So you can watch the game. The teams play. There's no crowds. There's no crowds out there. But what they've done is throughout the stadium, they've actually set up robots in the stands. So these robots take the place of the crowd. And some of the robots have drums, and some of the robots are just like, yay, make noise. It's really kind of weird. I got to be honest, though. I'm super excited to watch this. I can't seem to find anywhere where I can watch Chinese baseball right now, but I'm trying, and I live in Asia at this moment, so it's very bizarre that I can't find it. But I can't wait to see this in professional American Major League Baseball. I really hope they adopt at least that philosophy and that principle and get this thing going. So what's in the way right now of actually having baseball start up? Well, first of all, there are a lot of things in the way. They need to figure out some type of testing regimen. So right now, I don't know if you know this, but Major League Baseball has submitted all of their employees to be part of a testing regimen for testing of antibody tests. So 10,000 Major League Baseball employees are being part of this test. They've all been volunteered, and they're all being part of this. They're all going to take antibody tests, and we'll find out how many of those people actually already have the antibodies. It's very interesting. They're doing this with a lot of groups throughout the country to find out what percentage of each one of these groups has antibodies. This will also be able to tell us in the long run and give us a better idea of how much of each population has these antibodies. So 16% of New York, 4% of Canada, 3% of Mexico. We'll be able to go through and break things down. 12% of Florida. We'll be able to go along the way and be able to break down how many people throughout the country actually have antibodies. So what they'll be able to do is they'll be able to test players, and what they're talking about right now is doing a weekly test. Now, obviously, if you show you have the antibodies, and they can show some proof that these antibodies make you protect you from getting the virus in the future, then you're fine. You won't have to worry about it. If you have the antibodies and you have that protection, you probably will be allowed to skip the testing every week. You could do it every few weeks just to make sure that you don't get it. But everyone will be forced to take a test every week. They'll also be forced, obviously, they won't be allowed to, they'll have to wash their hands. I'm certain that each player is going to have his own bat. I have no idea how they're going to handle the balls. How do you handle, if you ever watch a pitcher actually pitch, he's licking his fingers. He's doing like a lot of weird things to give the ball a certain amount of moisture. It's going to be very difficult. It's going to be a very different game for a lot of these guys. The catcher catches the ball, and then he throws it back to the pitcher. Well, they just touch something together. You know what I mean? The first baseman touches the ball. I don't know how they're going to go about doing all of this so that germs aren't spread. But here's one of the biggest stumbling blocks that they're going to run into, and they're going to have to figure out a way to fix this quickly. And it's just this. It's very simple. The players have to take a pay cut. I mean, it just has to happen. There is no way around it. The players have to take a pay cut. And in doing so, it's going to put everybody in a situation where they may make 50% of what they used to make. They may make 40% what they used to make. It's going to be very interesting to see how they work all this out. I'm excited for baseball. I'm really excited because, as most of you know, I do develop systems that we use for investment purposes for three major sports. We do baseball, we do basketball, and we do football. So some of the systems that we have been using incredibly successfully are now no longer able to be used. As a matter of fact, there are, out of the 6 systems that we use for baseball, 2 can't be used. But I always have backup systems, and I always have systems that I use that I keep track of along the way. Even if I don't use them as part of our investment system, I'm always keeping an eye on them. And I'll be able to use these other systems, a few of the other systems that I have in place of them. And I'm excited to see what the returns will be. I mean, last year, my baseball returns, I believe, were 240% through the year, and that was fantastic. I was able to make a tremendous amount of money last year in baseball investing the way I do. So I'm looking forward to see what I can do this year with these new systems, with some of the new rules in place, and to see how things are affected going forward with the fact that there will be no home teams, there is no travel. There's a lot of things like that. Now, one of the things that I'm excited about is that the legalization of sports gambling has become bigger and bigger. People are dying to have some type of normalcy in their life. So a lot of people are going to be watching baseball, which means a lot of people are going to be betting on baseball, wagering on games. And dumb money will move the lines. And when they move the lines, that's how I make money, because I don't really bet on the teams. Just about all my systems work based on finding a way to manipulate the bookmakers' lines into my favor. And that's what I do. And if there's enough dumb money out there, the odds go further and further into my favor. This is going to bring a lot of dumb money. I love dumb money. Bring it on. That's baseball season in a nutshell for me. So I'm super excited to have it happen. I'm going to keep my ear to the ground on this, because I want to be ready to go as soon as I find out exactly what the rules will be and what the changes will be coming up, so I can swap out a couple of the systems that I have in place right now for systems that I think will work better for what's going on. Put together a great 2020 season for myself and for anybody that follows me out there. Now, we got a ton more stuff we're going to talk about in this show, including the NFL futures. They just came out with some NFL future odds that are just mind-blowing to me, and I want to share them with you. And we're also going to reach into our mailbag, and I'm going to be answering more of your questions along the way. I do appreciate you guys sending me in the questions. I appreciate you listening and watching the show, and I'm going to come back right after this.